and today I'm going to be sharing with you what is in our looping basket. Now, if you are unfamiliar with a looping basket, these are the subjects that you don't necessarily work with every day, but they are things that you want to expose your children to and incorporate into your homeschool. You can put them all in a basket and kind of touch on them in a looping fashion. And so today I'm going to share with you guys what is starting in our looping basket. We'll probably change some things out as we progress through the year and as things, we have finished up maybe some of these books, but some of these things will continue to stay all year long. So the first thing that we will definitely be working on is this Simply Charlotte Mason, Laying Down the Rails. Now this is a habit training book, and so we have chosen 3 different habits out of here that we will be working with as the year goes on, and then we will be able to continue using this for the next several years, and for my older students, probably for the duration of their schooling, as this book can last up to 10 years. There are 2 books that come, this is book 1, and that happens to be where the habit we were using this year to start with comes from, but there are 2 books, and so there are plenty of habits that last throughout the years. I will see, here just gives you a glimpse of some of the habits in this book. So if you guys are interested in learning more about this, if you drop a comment down below, I would be happy to go through a little more about that. But I can also link a video to Abby over at Full-Time Wife Life. She has a really good video that is kind of a flip through of this and explains it really well. And that's where I first was shared with this curriculum. So the next thing that we will be working on, we will be continuing our sign language. So we worked on some sign language last year, and my students really enjoy this. I really enjoy ASL, as I did take a few classes on it in my college years, and then my sister also dated a boy who was deaf, and so to communicate with him, I had learned some extra ASL for that, and I just really fell in love with it and the ability to communicate as I was a waitress, communicating with some of my customers, and so I'm really excited to continue teaching this to my kiddos. So we are going to continue with that. And next we are going to be beginning the Dave Ramsey for kids. Now we have been Dave Ramsey followers for a very long time. I personally read his Total Money Makeover and began kind of like his methods, as you would say, back in, I don't know, like 2004. I got it as a graduation gift a few years prior, so I guess I'm dating myself there. But I began to follow kind of his methods and how to handle money, and it has gone very far for our family, and so we have continued that. And so while my kids have been exposed to it and we definitely have been teaching it, I'm really excited to add these in to our looping basket this year, especially for my younger 2 who have not really had to deal with managing money much at all yet. So we will be doing that. We will be continuing some of our poetry in A Light in the Attic. I am not a huge poetry fan. That is terrible, because I love all forms of like writing, creative writing, journalism. I took all of those electives when I was in school, but I just did not like poetry. And so it has been really hard for me to wrap my head around teaching my kids poetry because I did not enjoy it. But this is a book that we have really enjoyed. If you're not familiar with Shel Silverstein, you should definitely check it out. We have collected over the summer a few more books, and so we may tend to go through this a little faster now that I don't feel like we're going to run out of poetry to read. And so we will work on this because we got about halfway through it last year, just kind of taking it slow, a poem here and there. I'm going to try and incorporate it a little bit more into our week this year. The next thing we will be reading is Usborne's Illustrated Stories from Aesop. And so we will have the Aesop Fables, and this is actually working with our history this year, which was not my intention. I didn't realize it was going to be suggested reading within our history, but it is, and I just think that this is enjoyable. I really like these books, but series by Usborne and how they share some of the classic stories. And so we are going to be incorporating a few more of these, I believe, into our school year. We'll see how much we get through, but I definitely wanted to add this in. Sorry, my things in my basket are kind of falling over here. The next thing I picked up this year that I was kind of excited to add in are the Christian Liberty Nature Reader. We are starting with book K, but they have several books that continue to go up in level. Although from what I have seen, now please somebody drop a comment down below if you guys know. From what I have seen, I've just seen them briefly on Rainbow Resources, I think, is they don't seem like they get much more challenging. Like they're the same concept as you go. But here it just goes through different animals and insects in nature and shares a little bit about them. And then it has some questions down below. And so we're just going to read through some of these different creatures that God has created. And then we're going to ask, just another read aloud form. And then I can orally ask these questions and have the kids narrate back to me what they have learned. And so I just thought this would be something neat to add into our morning basket. My kids really enjoy learning about animals. They're not huge science fanatics in the idea they don't like things like geology and magnetism and all of those types of things, but they do really like to learn about animals. And we had done some apologia last year and it was too much, and so I thought this would be a good way to incorporate that back in to our schooling this year without doing a full year of science on it. Then if you saw my recent book haul, we picked up the Scholastic Dictionary of Idioms, and I thought this was a really cool book, and so I thought it would be something just neat to add into our morning basket. You can see here, it just goes through, it has the saying up here and kind of the origin and the meaning, and it gives an example of it. And so I thought that would be something neat. You hear all these phrases, and my kids are kind of like, huh? What? And so then we have to kind of go back through and explain what we just said. And so I thought this would be something neat, especially for my older girls. Now, if you saw my group subjects, I guess I could have kind of shared it in there, but we are doing the Route 66 Bible, and so we just keep our Bible in here to read through with that. It's just the accompanying piece. This is the one that we have chosen out of preference to read all together. My kids all have their own Bibles, but I thought this was a good Bible that kind of spanned all of the ages and actually included the Bible, and it wasn't just Bible stories. A lot of younger kid Bibles obviously share the stories more and don't actually have all of the verses in it. Now, we will be doing science during this time a lot. Also, we'll be doing some unit study science. And so when we are doing that, we will be incorporating this indescribable devotion. And so this it's 100 devotions about God and science, and it does have different devotions about all different stems of science. Here it shows you we have space, earth, animals, and people. And so it kind of breaks them down by the little category. But for instance, here is one we will be using later this year when we do the human anatomy. And so we will be incorporating this into our devotion / science time. So these are the two things that we will be using for our Bible this year. We will continue to keep our maps in there just to read. Anytime we read and they talk about a location, we always pull out our scrunch maps and find that location. If you have never seen these things, they are so cool. They scrunch up into this little bag, so they're easy to keep around. But you see here, there you go. And I've got that upside down. I can see it through there. Yeah. So there you go. It's a nice big map. It's not too huge, but you can definitely pull it out on the floor and locate things. We have this one of the United States, and then this one is the world. It's a very, I don't even know what to call it. The material, though, it's almost a cloth, but kind of a paper. I don't know. It's not easily torn. That's what's important. So if you have kids who are dealing with this and they're going to be hands-on, it's not easily torn, which we love. And like I said, I love the fact that it's small. It scrunches up in here. We don't have to keep, I've seen those beautiful maps. My husband actually pointed one out. We went to Costco. The huge maps they have there. They're nice big giant wall maps and they're beautiful, but we just do not have the space, the wall space for that. So I do love having these maps. They were a great investment for us. So we keep those in there. And then the last thing that we have in here are just some CDs, and we're continuing with the CDs from last year. We have the Baby's Bible songs. Now these aren't really, I mean, baby songs, but they have like Zacchaeus and Trust and Obey. I am a CHRISTIN. So songs that I sang like in Bible school and those types of things when I was a child. We have that one. We have this Little People's sing-along, which is very similar. This has, Arky Arky and Peace Like a River, His Banner Over Me is Love. So just some of those kids' classics. And then I have the hymns song, and I love this CD. I actually had this on cassette tape when I was a child, and so I have found it, and we are using it. My church does do hymns from time to time, but most of the time they tend to do more modern praise and worship, contemporary type music, and I like being able to expose my kids to the good old hymns. And so I've picked this up, and we've just rotated through listening to a hymn or two a week, and just getting my kids exposed to it. So the other thing that I do with this is my older two students, I print out the sheet music so they are able to learn to read the hymns and how they go through music, because my kids can pick up the insert for the CD and read the lyrics there, but were unable prior to last year to actually read sheet music. So I did also incorporate that. If you guys are interested, most of the time you can find it for free just somewhere by Googling it and then printing it. So that is everything that we will be doing in our looping basket time. We will kind of be incorporating both our looping basket and our group subjects at the same time. We usually come together and work on those two things. So if you guys have not seen that video, I will drop the link for it down in the description box below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you guys saw something maybe you guys were interested in for your looping basket. What are you guys using this year? I would love to hear if you guys could drop that down in the comment section below. And I will see you guys all next time. Bye.